everybody. Welcome to the biggest show in the continent right now, MS Live with your boy Mac Moten. This is the show that we have insightful conversation with your favorite artists pertaining to show business. You can follow us on every single platform, MS24GH, hashtag MS Live. You can follow me as well, Mac_Moten. And I have one of the finest rappers in this country. When it comes to storytelling, he's in top 2, and he's a music nerd. And I have my brother from another mother, Kojo Cue. Bibi Abokodi.
Yeah, what's the mom was say for
your My mom backstory. Let me give them the backstory. It's very funny because that was 5 years ago.
That was 5 years
I saw you at Boedi Junction. And I said, for my brothers, I think that time you have dropped that project and was doing massively well because it wasn't that common to see rappers doing storytelling and you can vivid what they are saying, exactly what they are saying. And I can say you are one of the few rappers from Sarkodie that is really putting the music on the map when it comes to storytelling, how you narrate it and put everything together. So I saw you, and right now it's 5 years now, and right now I'm here interviewing one of the finest rappers we have in the city and even in the country. So Kojo Cue, I want us to catch up a little bit. For my brothers, and you took a break for 5 years to come out with this body of work. Why did you take that long?
After 2020 was a crazy year for me.
Okay.
A lot happened, like personally, that made me. So I started recording an album in 2020, and then a bunch of stuff happened, including COVID, and then I disconnected from music, like totally. I went to do other things. So that's what caused the break. And then once I was ready to come back, because in 2023, I came back with an Back EP.
Yeah.
But then we had to kind of revisit what we had done and see, how we can improve it.
Okay. So let's catch up with the EP. So with the EP, is you taking break and changing the perspective of the story that you were telling at that moment?
Yeah, the EP was just, I had taken a break and I had been gone for a while. So it was just like putting it out there so that people will know that, we're back active again. It's like, before you give them the big one, you kind of prime them so that they know that we are back outside. Or a lot of people will miss it because they think that, Kojo, he's been gone for so long. Yeah.
So you are known for storytelling. So what was the direction of that EP?
It wasn't, there aren't a lot of stories on that. I think that before I was known for storytelling, I was also known for punchline rapping. Yeah. So on I'm Back, we just decided to give them that.
Yeah.
Because we also try to make sure that we don't do too much so that they don't get bored quickly.
Yeah, for real.
You understand? So the in-betweens, we are not trying to bore them with like a lot of
rap
other stories and so that they can miss it, and then when it comes, like, it feels new and it feels fresh. So with that one, we just went back to the basics and did, some punchline raps, just had fun with the project.
Yeah, and I know Sarkodie did one of the biggest show in Kumasi for the city, and I was expecting to see Kojo Cue on that stage because you have a song with Sarkodie with your brother Shaker, Things We Do for Love. So I was expecting to see you on stage. What happened, bro?
I don't know, like it's his show, so
but no invitation.
Oh no. Yeah, no invitation came in, but I think I've spoken about this before. I even had a show that day in Accra as well.
Okay.
So I couldn't have even been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. I want us to get into the rollout of your Soul For More album, which is Kani, a Baltimore story. I'm someone who's from Kumasi, so when I heard the rollout, I saw the rollout and everything, I said, Charlie, I'm very triggered. I want to know the story my brother is going to say on this project. So, like, fingers crossed, I was waiting. Let's start with the rollout. What was the intentionality behind the rollout before dropping the project?
Yeah, so every time when we are trying to present a project, we want to make sure that by the time we get to the actual project that we have as much attention from people as possible. And because we already knew that this was going to be a narrative, we started priming them, small with that. We started the year off with Abebrese, which is not even on this project, right?
True. The one with Family.
Yeah, the one with Family, which is not even on this project. But we knew that it will give us the type of splash that we needed for people to bring their eyes. And then after that, we followed up with Onipe Hiamwa just for the core fans. So we didn't even like over promote that. Just for the people that are super tuned in.
Okay.
To, stay awake. And then we kicked the actual rollout off.
Okay.
With first we dropped an announcement video.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We dropped an album mode video to let you know we're putting, a vinyl on old vinyl to let you know, just to also give you an idea of the direction that we are going in, because the vinyl should point you towards that.
And it seems there was an artwork, like giving us the form of VHS, VCD, DVD form.
Yes.
So who brought up that concept?
It's a movie. I work with some very talented people.
Okay.
The Free Jacket Agency. They are responsible for all my creative direction. Gold River, my management, but they also help with building rollouts and everything. And then Ripe Organic, they are responsible for all my graphics and everything. Okay. And then I have Short Pictures, who are responsible for my visuals, like the pictures, the reels, and everything. Okay. And then there's also Junianan, who helps out with the music videos as well. So it's like the whole team, everybody's like involved in what we are doing. And we felt like because this was a narrative and the album itself felt like a movie, we wanted to present it, like a movie. So if you saw the trailer, it had almost like a movie trailer shot in Bantama. And then we followed up with, like you're saying, even before the trailer, I started something where I was doing with tweets, where I was doing stories I never told. And I was just like telling some of the stories from back in the day. With people, I told a story about Flo Kingston, shout outs to him. Other people as well, MI and whatnot. And then we did the artworks that were like movie posters from like back in the day. You understand? Yeah. So that's just the energy. Like, this is a movie. It's an audio movie. So if we're going to present it to the people, what is the best possible way to present it? Okay. And the team, sat down. They put their heads together. And
so let's talk about the artwork, which has your mom and young Kojo Cue on it. Mm-hmm. It gives nostalgic feeling. It gives that nostalgic moment. You could have used different maybe artwork, maybe Bantama, Brochrome, or Brema as the artwork. What made you settle on this artwork? It looks very beautiful.
Yeah. That's me and my mom. Shout outs to her. So this album is her album, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah, her voice is even on it. Like she's the narrator of the album, right? So it's her album even more than mine. It's showing what like single parents, especially young single parents, have to go through. Single mothers have to go through to like raise a child in Kumasi, especially if you have to toss between places like Bantama and Doom and stuff. You've lived there, so you know. Yeah. So we had other options. We're exploring other options, but shout outs to Kafui Ofori, who's my creative director, and Free Jacket. The minute he saw him and Clay came to Kumasi, and then they came to, I showed him a bunch of like my childhood pictures as well. Okay. And the minute he saw this picture, he had the vision, the feeling that this will work. But there was somebody else. There's like a man in the actual picture is three people. There's a man, an old man now standing next to my mom as well. And then they took that out, and then they, and just
is that old person your granddad or something?
No, not my direct granddad.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even remember him. Okay. But I think he's my granddad, maybe grand uncle, something like that. Yeah. Okay. And so once all the options were presented, and I also saw this, I was like,
you fell in love with it.
Yeah. I was like, it's perfect. Like it's what the album is about.
So let's talk about the title. I know you said like Kani is actually your name.
Yeah, it's my middle name.
I thought maybe you were saying maybe Akan, maybe Akani or something.
That's where it comes from. Kani.
Okay.
Kani, like the first or like that. Yeah. So that's where it comes from. So the law behind that is that's the middle name that my dad gave me.
Okay.
But because my dad was not around, it was pronounced to me as Kenny.
Okay. And
then when I went to school and I was asked to spell it, I spelled it Kenny. And then my teachers, at some point, my teachers were like, Kenny is just short for Kennedy.
Okay.
So then they made me change
it.
the spelling to Kennedy. And so it was like I was done with registering for BEC and everything. That's when my dad came. And then when he saw, then he saw the Kennedy. He's like, who named you Kennedy?
Okay.
And I'm like, Kenny. And they're like, nah, it's Kenny. It's not Kenny.
Okay.
And then he spelled it for me. So it's an interesting story because the album is also a search for self.
Okay.
You know, so we decided to name it Kenny just to, you know, throw back to the story to show how when you're being raised by young people, when some of the people that even, the person that named you is not even around, how things can get like twisted around, but also to reclaim the name sort of.
Okay.
And the Bantama story, because the album actually happens all over Kumasi.
Yeah.
But the reason I claim Bantama is because no matter where I was sent to, I kind of always returned.
Okay.
You know, it was like the center. So you come back there, and then they send you somewhere else, and you come back there.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've lived in and around Kumasi, like everywhere.
So, Q, I want to ask you something. Is this project going to be in a form of installment that right now we have Akani, a Bantama story? Maybe I'm going to get maybe a second installment of Akani, the Brookroom story. Maybe Akani, the Bremen story. Is it going to be in that form?
No. So, for my brothers, I explain it this way. It's a universe, right?
Okay.
Think of it like the Marvel universe. Okay. You know, in the Marvel universe, you have Avengers.
Yes.
You have Iron Man. Yeah. You have them there. So, this universe, we are calling it Ghana Man Times.
Okay.
And the idea behind it is we want to document and chronicle the life and times of somebody that was born in the late 80s in Ghana and who grew up their whole lives in Ghana.
Okay.
So for my brothers, it's like also the first installment.
Okay.
Kenny is the second installment. For my brothers, it's more like all of us together, our story. Kenny is more like me.
Okay.
You understand? Like, so for my brothers, Avengers, Kenny is Iron Man.
Okay.
You
so
understand?
is it going to be in a form of trilogy? Because the way
it's supposed to be 4 projects in all.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, it's supposed to be 4 projects in all. But Kenny has a side B.
Wow.
Yeah. But the side B, we don't count it as one of the 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so Kenny has a side B, so there will be a Kenny part 2, essentially. Okay. And then we'll move on to another project with another name entirely, but still in that universe. And then we'll do the last one.
So the side B, is it going to come out next year?
Next year, yeah.
Okay, exclusive on MS24 with my brother Kojo Cue. Yeah, so Kenny 2 next year. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it too.
Okay, so let's get into the project. Fruit of the Woo. That's I think there's intro before.
No,
that's the first
song.
song. Yeah, okay. We just played it. What is the story behind that song?
So I'm just diving into the anxiety you have as a child who, you know, when you're growing up, you know that, especially for people that were, raised by mothers or parents who were not so well to do, they are investing in you so that once you go to school and things pan out, you come back and you come and, also take care of them. So I am documenting that anxiety of, right now you're old enough. This is the time that you're expected to take care of them. Yeah. But things are not moving for you.
Yeah, the way you want.
Yeah, the way you want. So
I think that's something every boy can relate to.
Yes, you understand. So things don't move for you the way you want. So the things that you actually have on your heart to do for them, you are unable to do. Yeah. You understand? But then they are not even asking, at this point, they are not even asking for much from you.
Yeah, for real.
They are just asking for, get married, have a baby, this, that. But you in your head, you know that, I want to build a house, I want you to have car, I want your life to be easy because of everything that you've done for me. So it's just living with that anxiety, and then I put that in the music.
So Q, as you talked about, anxiety, but childhood, did you ever experience inferiority complex in your life?
If I'm being honest, I think maybe just one time that I was around some extremely rich people with accents.
Okay.
I was shaking a bit, but I have never. Thankfully, I've never Yeah, I've never felt that. I don't think my self-esteem never came from because I was raised in compound house settings.
Okay.
And I was raised around other people that didn't have money. I did not know I was poor for a long time.
Okay.
So my self-esteem didn't come from money.
Okay.
You understand? Like
Okay.
by the time I realized that, you were poor, I already had, my self-esteem was already solid.
Okay.
Yeah, so it didn't affect it as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very, very dope. I like it that you are throwing more light on that, and even talking about anxiety.
Yeah.
I think that's something all of us we go through.
Yes.
And it was more of like a self-reflection. Me listening to the project and listening to what you were saying, like it was dope. I could resonate with it. Let's get into Bantima Blues.
Yeah.
The third one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
The third
Bantima
installment,
Blues,
yeah.
part 3.
Yes.
Yeah, we all know how Bantima is.
Yeah.
The people who have not been to Bantima, they will not understand.
Yeah, they
But
don't
you
get
like
it,
you
yeah.
summarize everything in your storytelling on this song. So let's talk about that song too.
Yeah, so I did Bantima Blues 1 and 2 on The Shining.
Yeah.
Bantima Blues 1 was about a girl I had a short thing with, but
Okay.
it happened in Bantima.
Okay.
And then Bantima Blues 2 was about the period when I had kind of moved out of Bantima, and then when you go back, people will be acting like, it's
Yeah.
not the same person, like, yeah. So Bantima Blues 3 is basically breaking the whole story down to let people understand what it is like for people to grow up in Bantima.
Yeah.
You understand? The type of things that you face, the type of things that become the things that you aspire to, the type of dreams that you have, the type of friends that you have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing is that we are going to get into Big Boys, the story behind Big Boys.
Yeah.
But one thing I like about this project is that although it's storytelling, you are telling a story, you are narrating a story. But when it comes to the production, there is this diversity in the production. So you listen to the project, you are not bored.
Yes.
Was it intentional going that
Yeah,
direction?
it's super intentional. You are mirroring life, right? I'm telling a story about my life. I'm mirroring my life. Certainly, all of it won't have the same bounce.
Yeah.
All of it won't have the same, even background music, even
Yeah, true.
the music that was popular then.
Yes.
You understand that the music that was popular in 1992, by the time you get to 2005, it's different. The sound
Yes,
is different.
true.
Yeah. So that the soundscape has to also reflect that.
True.
Also, I love music. I love all types of music.
Yeah.
So even though I'm a rapper, I don't restrict myself to a certain genre of music or a certain type of beat or whatnot. As long as the music speaks to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a music nerd.
Yeah, I'm a music nerd. I'm 100% a music nerd. Yeah.
Okay. So Q, let's get into Big Boy. What's the ideology behind that song?
That's just it's like reflecting on the dreams that every parent has for their child,
Okay.
right? That you grow and then you be, first of all, physically actually grow
Okay.
and become big from eating. But also you will grow and then you will become somebody important in society from having listened to their advice, having, gone to school, which they paid for and everything. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like just using the idea of a mother feeding a baby so that the baby can become big
Okay.
as a metaphor for your parents pouring into you, whether
Yeah.
whether financially, whether advice or whatever,
Okay.
so that when you grow, you can become somebody important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kojo Cue, I want to ask you something. I know you were featured on BET Hip Hop Cypher.
Yeah.
Was it like, how was the feeling for you being featured on BET? I think a lot of people don't throw light on it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Charlie, it was surreal because, whenever I do some of these things, the thing that makes me feel great or the thing that makes me have these emotions is not even the thing that I am doing.
Okay.
It is what some of my people that I grew up with will think. You understand? Because I grew up on hip hop, especially my Brooklyn people.
Okay.
Some of my OGs, some of my cousins, and we used to watch every BET Hip Hop Award.
Okay.
We used to watch. They would send us cassette tapes, send one person a cassette tape, everybody will pass it around
Okay.
and watch all the music videos and everything. So to have gone from that to now officially be on BET Cypher, you understand? Like,
True.
it's like, you know, it gives you perspective on how far you've come, but also it's like, I wonder how Scorpion feels about it. You know, when he sees that.
Okay.
Like,
So opening out for Lauryn Hill with your brother
Shaker.
That's one thing too. Like, I think it's a moment we need to celebrate it. We need to just actually, document it.
Yeah.
How was the experience? Because Lauryn Hill is one of the finest.
Bro, eye-opening. Like, you understand? I am standing next to the stage, watching Lauryn Hill and Nas do their sound check.
Oh wow!
And like when they get off the stage, like, oh, Charlie, that was fire, and actually have conversations with these people. These are people I used to only see in magazines.
Yes.
Or when I bought a CD, right? So to actually be there, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it. And then on top of that, to see how they do their shows.
Okay.
You know, to see, cause it was crazy. They had like massive setup, right? By the time the show was done, and I'm not lying to you, like an hour after the show was done, it was like the whole auditorium was like they didn't set up anything. They're like, so to see them put it together and take it back apart like that quickly, and it was an auditorium that also had it had like a sick bay for if emergencies and things, and actually being at the concert of that magnitude where people are jamming, but they can also get up and go and buy drinks without really disturbing.
Maybe you know, for real.
You know, even the other people that are watching. And it was also my first time seeing that they put the VIPs. So you know how over here they will put the VIPs in the front or something with the tables.
Yes.
And I hate that because the VIPs on jam. Yes. The VIPs know they like jam. They just want to sit and do like, and you need the people that are coming to jam. You need the energy.
Yeah.
So it's my first time seeing that they had a whole place on the side for the VIP. So the people in the crowd couldn't even see who was in the VIP.
Yeah.
And that whole place was almost like a club. Free drinks, everything, and people were jamming whilst they were also watching the show. Yeah, so all of that, like, it opened my eyes to.
So were you able to talk to Lauryn Hill?
Oh yeah. Oh.
What's the first thing you asked there?
What am I going to ask? Like,
maybe advice.
No. I didn't ask for anything. Just like, you know, her bigging us up on what we were doing.
Okay.
Even after that, she, shout out to Alvin. She came to Ghana. They did a very intimate, like super intimate at the old BB&Z.
Okay.
Invitation only.
Okay.
And me and Shaker, we hosted it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like, after that, the conversations and everything. Yeah, like, it's just, you even get starstruck.
Okay.
That these things don't even come in your head.
For real.
Yeah.
I know you were talking about Scallions, that a lot of people say, oh, I used to look up to Scallions. I used to look up to Scallions, and they go for interviews. They mention Lil Wayne and the rest, Badman and co. What made you say that? Because, as you said, that Scallion is the last branch when it comes to real hip-hop in GH.
Yeah, I feel like if you started doing hip-hop in Ghana, or you started enjoying hip-hop in Ghana anywhere around 2010, you cannot say that you were not influenced by the Scallions.
Okay.
I was influenced by the Scallions.
Okay.
Right? I know a lot of people, when I hear the way they sound, I can tell that, oh, you were influenced by Scallions, or even just the general movement at the time, you know, Clue of Monster Music, ghetto raps, and stuff. So I like to give props to the people that props is due.
Okay.
You know, regardless of whether or not they are still popular or it is still fashionable.
Okay.
And I think that for most people, they feel like if they say, oh, I'm a huge fan of Kojo Cue and Kojo Cue inspired me, that maybe they are either selling themselves short or they think that they are in competition with me. So them saying that will make them lose the competition.
Sure.
So most of the time they look, you know, at the people that were outside. But I was influenced by Shaker. I was influenced by Brad Kevin. I was influenced by Kiara.
Okay.
I was influenced heavily by Mensa and Obrafo and Ochame Kwame.
Okay.
You understand? And I feel like if people were more open to share these things, we'll go far.
Yeah. I know your Akani Bantama story is featured on JQ SA South Africa.
Yeah.
So how did it happen?
Shout outs to Echo Barnes, incredible creative writer, creative director, everything. He did a review of the project for GQ South Africa, and Charlie, I was just honored to for such opportunity to.
Yeah, for real. More wins for my brother, more wins.
100%.
We hope that this project really go far. I want us to get back to the project. Let's play Next Time on the project, then we come back, then we continue with the conversation. So let's listen to Next Time by Kojo Cue. Yeah, beautiful song by my brother Kojo Cue, Akani, A Bantima Story. It's out on all streaming platforms, guys. You can stream it and add to your playlist. Beautiful songs. But my personal favorite is Mr. Eben. And one song to Nestem. It's amazing, guys. You guys have to just listen to this project, giving us some back-to-back songs you guys can relate to, songs you guys can resonate with. So Q, let's get back to it. Let's start with let's get into collaborations and features. I want us to talk about what's the name? Tin Tontin or Ton Tontin?
Ton Tonti.
Ton Tontin.
Yeah.
Okay, Ton Tontin. How did you link up with Ara the J and legendary Euphoria Ponsa?
Yeah, so my friend Kojo Cue, who's also an incredible
Okay.
rapper, he put me on Ara's music, and so I had this idea for a song,
Okay.
and which was like intergenerational, like three
Okay.
generations, and I felt like Ara fits it perfectly,
Okay.
and I thought about Euphoria as well. Shout out to my brother Pee Wee. He also works closely with Euphoria, so
Okay.
I knew that there was a chance there. So I did my bit, sent it to Ara, he killed it,
Okay.
and I sent it to Euphoria, and then we just said prayers.
Okay. Okay.
And you know, it came out of nowhere. I was not even expecting it to come, but then it came, and then it was amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
So really, it's P Wizzo, and as far as Ara, Kojo Cue for putting me on to Ara, but also my people at Rain Labs, because
Okay.
they have a relationship with Ara's management as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the concept of the song. What were you trying to tell the listeners?
I was just trying to break down the scene we've been able to,
Okay.
but then using alcohol as, you know, a conduit. Basically, the song happens at the point in the story on the album where
Okay.
finally menyinim abeto.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, asema na omo kase say ni say na menti ase na fade, you know. So I say it in the second verse. Asema preko ka chere ne pa no. Afi na mati ase, you know, because
Okay.
say ubenyina beto.
Beto.
Ma me ada na no kaka so ubenyina beto.
Okay.
Right? And I was just using the alcohol bit as when you are young, you had an uncle or maybe even your dad or whatever. Every day after work,
Okay.
they're going to sit somewhere with their friends and drink before they come to the house, and you don't understand why.
Yeah.
They be you
yeah.
understand. But then when you grow, you come to understand that, first of all, apart from the fact that the alcohol can help you when you get intoxicated, it can help you dampen,
Yeah.
you know, your brain so that you are not thinking about some of the things that, you know, are weighing you down. It is also an avenue for them to go and sit down with their friends and connect, because they are old and they are all working and they are all over the place.
Yeah.
And sometimes that, you know, can be problematic. You don't even get to link with your people. So sometimes it is not even that they love to drink alcohol.
Okay.
It's just that, Charlie, I don't see Mark in a while.
Yeah, for
Maybe
real.
we just go link
up.
and then
Okay.
once we have conversations,
Yeah.
some of the burdens will be taken
It can
off our
also be
shoulders.
in a form of being like a therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
because when you sit and you guys talk,
Yeah. For
obviously, you know, things get discussed. That's when you are going home, you also feel lighter. Yeah.
Okay. So Q, how you they do them? Because the reason I'm asking that is with survivor's guilt is something where people can resonate with, because everything you are saying be what boys they go through. Like this song, it's like growing up is a trap level way they show on this
Yeah.
song. How do you do it? Do you read people? Do you read the community that, okay, this is what boys they go through? Or be your personal story, what you they go
I
through?
think it's just honesty. Like, I'm honest.
Okay.
I'm honest about the things that I also feel.
Okay.
You understand? Because I make music in a good place compared to maybe a lot more people. So I could
Okay.
have just come and told you stories about how much money I have and
Yeah.
how I'm traveling here and doing that. But because I am honest about, even though everything looks great to you on the outside, I go through the same things that
Yeah,
you
for
also
real.
go through. And I think that is what connects with people. It's
Okay.
just the honesty.
The honesty.
Yeah, because we none of us live outside of the system.
Yeah, for real.
No matter how rich you are in Ghana, if you have an emergency right now and you have to take somebody to the hospital in the next 20 minutes, if you are in Accra, Kolebu, you go.
Yeah, true.
And if you don't go Kolebu, there are like two other private whatever,
Right, you go.
they will refer you to
Yeah,
Kolebu.
true.
If you do Kumasi, you be
Yeah,
Konfanochi,
Konfanochi,
you go.
yeah.
You understand? So we don't exist outside of the system. So I think maybe the thing that I've been blessed with, because I was moved around so much when I was a child,
Yeah.
and sometimes some of that movement was moving from a lower class part of the family to an upper class part of the
yeah,
family.
for real.
I can see the world from a lot of different POVs.
Okay.
Because I know what the middle class house is like.
Okay.
I know what the upper class house is like.
yeah.
But I also know what the lower class house is also like.
Yeah.
So when I am telling a story, I can pull from all these places.
And it seems when it comes to your song, there's this vulnerability in your music. It seems you are very vulnerable. Why do you always decide to go with that approach?
The music, first of all, is therapy for me.
Okay.
Like I'm doing it so that I can let things off my shoulders, and then some of it we package and we share with everybody else. Yeah. So that's why I have no choice but to be vulnerable, because if you go into therapy and you are unwilling to share and be open and be honest with your therapist, you can't get any healing. They don't have magic wands that they'll say, oh, this is your problem and I've solved it for you. You have to tell them, and then you guys talk through it. So since the music is also therapy for me, I have to be as honest as possible. Yeah, and that honesty translates as vulnerable sometimes, because some of the things that you are sharing, yeah.
So Kojo Cue, you being very vulnerable and honest when it comes to your music, have you ever had a fan approach you to say, Q, your music has really done this in my life?
Like all the time.
Wow.
Oh, all the time. The DMs that I get, I have people that actually sometimes hit me up if they are going through things in life and it's like too heavy, and they're having like evil thoughts or whatnot. And then sometimes we'll hop on a call and I have like we'll talk through it as well. Yeah. So, Charlie, beyond the accolades and everything and whatever, that actually is what I like about music. It's being able to affect people in that way, in a way that when they are going through like the hardest periods of their life, they turn to my music, or if they can reach me directly through the DMs or through a call, they actually turn to me. Yeah.
Okay. So with all this fans reaching out to you, telling you about their stories, what your music have done in their life, do you think subconsciously it makes you very cautious with how you approach situations? Because people are looking up to you, the masses are looking up to you, your fan base are looking up to you.
I think the cautiousness there it's been there since I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah. I would like to say it's because of them, but it's not. It's just been there since F176.
Okay.
Yeah. So before then, I was very wild, but from F176, it's been there. Maybe it's also a part of the reason why they even feel comfortable to share with me, because they can see that, some of that is there. Yeah.
Okay. I want us to talk about. You said you were inspired when it comes to production, from Zap Mallet.
Yeah, Zap Mallet and Lord Kenya for Tontonte.
Yeah.
So Zap Mallet and Lord Kenya have these songs. Obi Mpina Kra, Fameko, Boko. Yeah, why Johnny?
Okay.
Yes, I love those two songs, and I love that sound. So the bounce of it is what inspired the production for Tontonte. Like when I was thinking of what I wanted the sound bed to be like, I was like, yeah, that's the place that I want to take it to.
Okay.
Yeah. So the bounce of those type of drums and the way they were very the bass also kind of led the music, and then whatever else that we put in there. Yeah.
Okay. So Q, let's talk about Abrantier. Is that the song with IEC?
No, that's Onipe Hiamwa.
Onipe Hiamwa.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's your long time collaborator.
Yeah, I love his music. So
like always work with him.
I love his music. Like I'm a fan of his music. So whenever I create something, I try to find something that he would do on it. That's for my own consumption.
Okay.
Because he's just like he's an amazing musician, but he's an amazing person too. And I think that our personal values align a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not that hard to work. Sometimes, I think to this point, most of the music I've made with him, I don't even send them. For most people, I send them songs with my verses already done and the concept and everything. For him, sometimes I don't even send the concept. I just send him a beat.
Q, how you really appreciate IAC's talent? Do you feel like Ghanaians are not giving him much attention or not giving him his flowers?
Or they'll get to it.
They'll get to it.
Yeah, they'll get to it. Like the music is timeless. So
Okay.
if they're sleeping now, they'll wake. They don't know why
Okay.
cry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Abrantier.
Yeah.
First, the title, Abrantier. I be Abrantier, you be Abrantier. Can we get deep to the concept of that song?
Yeah. So Abrantier is just chronicling that time in your life where you think that you are, you finally arrived.
Right, okay.
So you're not listening to your parents,
Right.
even though you are still a kid.
Yeah.
It's like early teenage years.
Yeah.
When you are only listening to your friends, you want to
Friends.
go outside and do
Yeah.
this and do that, and then you are not listening to your parents at all. And I think that a part of me was thinking about J.W. Ambule's Mia Branche, Grace Man as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a part of me was thinking about that as well. That's why I called it a branch here. But that's basically like where the concept of the song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We just watched the song with Camido, the visuals, and I can see the setup with the wedding gown, you in suits. I can see a picture with some nice lady be there, and the clock. What does the clock represent in the visuals?
Yeah. So the clock, actually, the time on the clock, it shows the age I was
Okay.
when the events of that particular
Then I
song.
for zoom in.
Yeah. So if for zooming, I mean, that is, yeah. If you are watching at home, I'm sure there's a way.
Yeah, I
that
go
you can-
zoom out.
yeah.
I go zoom out.
Yeah. So it's showing. So if you can see this one properly, it's like 25. It's like
Okay.
two.
Like
two-
5, 6 B.
So the time on it is two. When the long hand is on the 5 is what? 2:25.
5. Okay.
Right. The time is 2:25,
Five.
but it's 2 and 5, so 25.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that was the age I was when I got married. Yeah.
I got married very early.
Straight out of uni.
Wow, I've never heard it anywhere. This is the first time I'm hearing of it, Charlie. This is the first time. At the
Yeah.
age of 25.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like straight out of uni, and then I got married. Yeah.
So how were you able to balance? Because you're a fine young man. And you go to the shows, Charlie, the ladies, they'll be throwing themselves at Kojo Cue. So how do you
I
deal
know
with
that's
it?
all now. Okay. So now you going to be
You start even out dealing because definitely you have fans who love your music. They they see fanboy.
I am super grounded, and I have like
Okay.
very grounded people around me as well. So they are not going to watch me do,
Okay.
yeah. And I came up reading and following both hip hop and hip life,
For real.
and just pop culture in
Yeah,
general.
for real.
I know how much just rampant womanizing
Okay.
has done to what it has done to other people before me. So me, I like to learn not only from my mistakes. I like to learn from history, so that I don't even make the mistake the first time. Because
Yeah.
sometimes the first time,
Yeah.
that be all, it will cost you everything. Yeah.
You know, you be conscious guy already. So the consciousness day, so Charlie. My brother from Kumasi, Charlie, the consciousness day, and about money, they are moving, so they're different.
That's it.
Yeah, for real,
Yeah.
for real, for real. So who produced that song?
The
one with Camido.
The one with Camido. It was produced by Reynolds the Gentleman and Chris D.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Tonton Till was also produced by Plug and Six.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Bantama Blues by Fortune Dane.
Okay.
Big Boy by Chris D. And then Fruit of the Womb also by Plug and Six as well.
Okay.
And Onipe Hiamwa, yeah, by Chris D as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of singers like you could have put on that song, the one with Camido. What made you decide to?
Hey,
Go for
Pop Boy,
Camido.
he's like, yeah, he's incredible. Like, he's incredible. And I feel like because of the Afro beats,
Okay.
people can't really tell that he can sing, like
Okay.
actually sing.
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 Okay.
So for this one, when we were done with the bass of the song, I wanted it to be one of the places where that side of him also comes through
Okay.
and cuts. So I sent it to him, and he was also very gracious. And Charlie, I even went to his house to watch him record the whole
Yeah.
thing. It was like a very fun session.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said to you that the project, 17 songs, to you is in blocks. So every block, it seems you have a favorite song. From the first block is Fruits from the Womb.
Fruit of the Womb,
And the
yeah.
second block is which song?
I think second block, I'll give it to Angel.
Angel. Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it to Angel because I love High Life.
Okay.
And I love some of the things that we did on there.
Okay.
The hook is very CK Man, like, and then we also had an instrumental break. When was the last time you had an instrumental break in the song?
real,
Where somebody comes to play, the trumpets, horns, and just going crazy. And then for the next block, Tontonte, obviously, because.
Okay. So when is the video coming out? I saw some snippets of the video.
Week.
This week.
Yeah. We haven't decided on the exact day yet, but it is this week.
Okay.
So latest Friday.
Bro, you should have brought the video exclusive on MS
Bro. There's just like one or two things that we need to tweak.
Okay.
So once that's done, I'll let you guys have it. We'll probably have it before it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Online. So
Okay. And the last block is who?
For the last block, I don't like to listen to it, but it is still gold dust.
Yeah. It's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep.
It's like it puts me in a certain place, but it's still gold dust. Yeah. It's
Okay.
amazing
Nice
song,
one. Okay. For my brothers live in concert.
Yeah.
The second edition. It's happening on 13th December.
Yeah, 13th December.
How are you preparing towards the show?
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
Came to do this. We are doing rehearsals as well.
Okay.
Charlie, we have an incredible show planned for people.
Okay.
So I really hope that everybody that loves the album, for my brothers, everybody that loves Kenny,
Okay.
will come out there. Limited tickets, but Charlie,
Okay.
do your best to grab one as quickly as possible.
And venue?
Yeah, Nubuke Foundation,
Okay.
East Legon. Yeah, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. then we are done. Everybody that came to the first one will know that I am not a liar when it comes to time.
Yeah, true.
Yes,
true.
everyone.
I was there.
Yes, so I was
on
not a
time,
liar.
Charlie.
Yeah. If I tell you this one, that'll be when we start. Then we are done.
Okay.
Then we move on. The tickets are already out. They are on Hustle Sasa. If you come to my socials, you find the links
Okay.
all over there as well. They are going for 300 cedis for single.
Okay.
Double, I think it's like 550. So the more people you can get to bond together, you get some discounts off that as well.
Okay, nice one. So what's next? Kanye is out. What's next for?
So from Kenny, we are doing a concert, obviously. After the concert, next year we have an exhibition planned where people can come and almost walk through my life whilst listening to the project and see there are pictures, there are pieces that we are getting from back then to put in there as well. After the exhibition, we have stuff planned. We have a little tour that we want to do, move around, go to different places. We have these block parties that we even did one in Kumasi that we will replicate in other places. And we also have the Adult Hour Day.
Okay, Adult Hour Day, Charlie.
Yeah, we are trying to create a space where people can come and enjoy some of the things that they enjoyed in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Okay.
So everything from Countess Ball to Stay to,
We reminiscing.
Yeah, like just a very nostalgic trip.
Okay.
Even the food that we'll have there, like old snacks from back in the day.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Q, nice talking to you.
Charlie,
really appreciate your time.
Charlie, I love being here, bro.
Bro. Yeah. So Kanye, Bantamon Stories out on all streaming platforms. Guys, you can check it out and add to your playlist. They are dope. It's dope music. 17 songs. You're going to love it. Guys, unfortunately, we have to wrap up. I go by the name Mac Moten. You can follow us on our socials. MS24GH, hashtag MSLive. Love conquers all. Peace. I'm out.